Thanks everyone for taking time out of their evening tonight. I know it's a beautiful evening, so thanks so much. This is a really interesting topic. For those who don't know me, my name is Robert Wolfson. I'm the past president of Rotary Club of Calgary Chinook, and I'm also working on the Learning and Development Committee as the Your Learning Center liaison. It's my pleasure to welcome Rebecca and Hannah here. It's going to be a great webinar, as we know, communications in an online world. As always, if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to put them in the chat and we'll moderate a Q&A afterwards. There'll be lots of times for questions and answers, I'm sure. So it's my pleasure to introduce our guest speakers, two amazing young Rotarians in our district. First, we have Rebecca Klepik. Rebecca is grateful for 12 years of tinkering and breaking software application programs. Rebecca's enthusiasm and persistence for personal development found her joining Toastmasters International in 2018. She quickly found like-minded individuals that pushed her to take on leadership positions within the organization in the service of its members. 2019 and 20, Toastmasters introduced Rebecca to Rotary, where she eagerly visited a few clubs and put forward her application to join the Rotary Club of Calgary Downtown. And Hannah Dupuis. Hannah has been part of the Rotary family since her first year of university in 2006. She's a member of the University of Lethbridge Rotary Club, where she's held positions such as treasurer and vocational chair, and is currently serving her club as co-president and the district's social media chair. Hannah has been working in the marketing industry for 3 years and is currently working as communications manager for various not-for-profit clients. Hopefully she can continue her passion helping not-for-profit build their communication strategies when she graduates at the end of the year. So it's my pleasure to turn the webinar over to Rebecca and Hannah. Take it away.
Perfect, thank you. And today's agenda that we have to start out. So I love all what you're putting in there. We do have a formal agenda, because where would we wouldn't be a professional communicator if we didn't have something planned for tonight. But what you're putting in chat is we're going to make sure we're going to address them all. Up first, of course, is we're going to go through a communication strategies. I'm going to cover this at a broad appeal because some of you might have seen this presentation at leadership training. And then we're going to follow that along into how to run a professional and engaging presentation, whether you're in this format, in the Zoom world. Ooh, what about in person? That's starting to open up. And I can't wait, to be honest. And then we're going to cover the importance of leveraging the Rotary brand, because it's important that we appear and coincide with what Rotary represents. We want to make sure that we achieve that for all of our guests, for all of our members. Very important. Then we're going to move into a little bit of a social media, online world. I'm not sure I like this term, but we are finding ourselves in a new era. Actually, you know what? I do like that. A new era, technology, hybrid meetings. We are going to be exploring how do you communicate. That is what the whole bulk of this presentation is going to be about. And then we're going to dive a little bit deeper into the District 5360 Communications Committee and how we might be able to help you out a little bit more by answering any specific questions that we haven't yet covered in this webinar. And there we go. That's going to be the agenda for today. And I like how it popped up the second one last, but if you don't mind, if we can go to our next slide. Effective communication strategies. Drop in chat, what does that mean to you? How have you seen it employed before? Do you have an idea? Has your communications director or anyone else along those lines on the board, have they started thinking about what they're going to do at the start of this Toastmasters Rotary year? My apologies, if I mix up, you can call me out on it in the chat. But what are you going to do in this Rotary year? Have you kind of thought about how to effectively communicate with members, or maybe member retention? Have you thought about potentially how you're going to reach some of those guests? I love to see it in the chat, but here is my sage advice for anyone, anything. if you're going to communicate, email, social media, keep it simple. Simple and easy to read and to see. We can go into a deeper dive and go into a little bit more of what a communication strategy looks like. But I want the theme to be simple. I want it to be relatable for our target audiences. I've already seen that in there. Similar to the business world, what we do is we identify our target audience, who we want to attract to the club. I'll use myself as an example. Do you want a young female that's looking to start out in her career, that's fully into her career but starting her own business? Do you want someone that's okay with stepping outside of her comfort zone, doing a Facebook Live, practicing that, and then giving it on your Facebook page? If you're looking for that target, imagine your target audience. Imagine who's going to help spread the Rotary word effectively. Put that down in paper. Maybe even look at your strongest leaders. Who's in your club? I'm part of the Rotary Downtown Club of Calgary. And I look forward to every time I hear Minot Mitchell's speech. She is stepping in as the president, and she is one of my role models. I want to attract more of, let's say, Minot to the club, or I want someone that's more athletic, that's willing to bring in their entrepreneurial buddies, or that can find the volunteers. Picture the person, the ideal person you want, write it down, and think. Think real hard. What are they looking for? Are they looking for volunteer opportunities? Are they looking for ways to serve their community? That's why I joined Rotary. I want to give back. And the main reason that the Rotary Club of Calgary Downtown, I applied there, I loved the people. I wanted to work with them. I wanted to volunteer with them. And it's Calgary. I love those I'm around with. If you're looking for someone like that, here's where you put your thinking cap on. How do you attract them? I like pictures. I like images. I love hearing stories. And you can do this in clear, concise language. That's the baseline of any effective communication strategy. If you go from point A to point B, and if you can even describe what are some of the benefits that you see your ideal target market doing in Rotary in the future, I'll use myself as an example again. I'm looking forward to when I can help volunteer at those barbecues that the Rotary Club of Calgary Downtown does. I'm looking forward to helping getting more involved, helping out maybe at the Stampede. I want those volunteer opportunities. So if you're going to approach, let's say if you want to approach myself, or if you're approaching a parent, maybe you approach them like this. Do you see yourself helping out a lot at your kids' schools? Would you like to be part of a barbecue in the future? What are some things that you see yourself doing in 3 years? In a year, imagine the network, the relationships you can develop and cultivate, help you moving on your track. That right there, if anyone comes and approaches me about imagining the more relationships I can create, the more people I can help, I'm focused on local right now, but I want to expand. That will have my attention. You have it. Simple, clear, concise language. Simple email, nice format. Don't make it like, if you love emails, it's hard to read just a big blob of a paragraph. But if you make it nice, you bold some areas, a little story, add in some spaces, maybe add in some images and graphics, you'll have my attention. That is a great strategy. You can start from base zero. Think of your target. Who do you want in the club? And then go from there. Then develop that effective image. We can move into the next slide, because once you have your strategy, it's going to be really important on how you're going to engage with them. Okay, I've given you some ideas, and I've mentioned some in-person ideas where you just might want to walk up to them, greet them. But there's also other ways. The most effective way, I find personally, that I have started my own coaching business, is stories. Develop that rapport. You can do stories in Facebook Lives, Instagram Lives. You can do it in a simple picture. You can do stories, and in those stories, you can ask questions, engaging questions, maybe even bring them in. What am I going to say next? If they start thinking along those lines as, I don't know, I've just gone on an adventure to Africa. I can't wait to meet all the villages, all the kids, and help educate them and help them grow up to be able to read. Give them water. What? Keep them hanging. Because I know a lot of you have done this. I've heard some of these stories, and I respect it. That is my dream. I want to go out there and help too. You have these, and you can implement questions as a call to action at the end in your social post. If you visited, I'll use Africa again. If you visited Africa, Malaysia, India, what would it mean for you to give these communities? What would it look like? How would you help them? What quality of life experiences could you yourself bring to these communities and then bring home? Simple call to action. If you want to find out more about how you can help these communities, come join our club. We meet Tuesdays, lunchtime. Here's the Zoom link. Just a simple, quick blurb of a call to action. Make sure you have that in there every single time. It's important. Templates. Templates, we're going into the next slide, if you don't mind, because we have covered a little bit the online and in-person tools. Templates, this is where I want to emphasize, really want to emphasize what we say, what we do, it represents. Everything goes back to our image, what we're doing in those communities, what we are doing in our online virtual world. Even right now, I am a representative of Rotary, trying to impart some knowledge. I'm trying to give you a gift, helping you so you can expand your reach, because I know the value of Rotary. I've seen what you're all capable of. Otherwise, I wouldn't be here today. That's something I want you to be able to take away. And our brand, service above self. Rotary opens opportunities. The famous Rotary International symbol, it's recognized throughout the world. It's important that we stick to those things. The reason is it directly relates to that service above self. And to attract more members, and just to make sure that our guests and our members know what we stand for and that we don't confuse anyone. That's why we use our brand. We have specific colors. These colors attract. They are very, very pleasing. So use them. Like, make use of these brands. And our mission, give back to the community. Always about service above self. If we can always make sure that we impart that in an effective, communicative way, that's what we want to do. If you need help, who here is not really social media guru, or you might not be strong with the brand? That's what the District 5360 communications here is for. We have websites, there is help, there is stuff available. I'm going to maybe steal a little bit of thunder out of Hannah's presentation and go ahead and say we like to use Canva tools. We already have this available. So if you need help, you can definitely contact us. We can send you the brand, or we're here. I mean, I was just thinking, but you were already making a commitment. You're attending today's presentation. And I did see a question come in chat, so I'm just going to address it before I move on into the next portion. The importance of building relationships with media. This is actually directly related to what I am talking about right now. We want the world to know. In fact, we don't want Rotary to be kept a secret. No, it needs to be out there. And we want to be professionally represented. When you're able to build that relationship, I'm not sure what media you might be having in mind, whether it's like news media or like just regular social media avenues, but if you have a news media connection, I don't know, I think it'd be really cool to be able to get on their interviews, or maybe try a podcast. Even put in chat any ideas that you might have come up with, because this can expand our opportunity to not only help people find members, but if you have someone that is creative in your club, maybe even send out a survey. Find out what you can get back from this. I mean, any other media suggestions? Oh, I got a great one. You can share a video with any of these media outlets. Maybe that'll help them attention. In fact, I have a video that I wanted to show everyone here. It's something that I downloaded from the Rotary Brand Center. It perfectly represents what we can do. In fact, I love watching this video. Maybe it's a suggestion. If you want, I will put it in the link too, so you can download it, put it on your social media page. I do like what Hannah suggested too in the chat. Sometimes it's helpful to have a contact list of all the media. Just a simple Excel spreadsheet. Anyone that you know is good with computers. It's easy to keep track. But if you don't mind, Robert, I'm actually going to overwrite your share, because I think it's the perfect time to show a video of how you can attract or display what it means to be Rotarian. One sec, let me share my screen. I think I'm sharing the right one.
Yeah, you're good.
that was just a little bit of a clip, but that's something that is, I love it because it shows that as a Rotary member, we have a vision. We have a solution and we can work together to achieve that dream. It just reminds me of why I joined. And it's very inspiring. That is something you can simply take and just put up on one of your social media pages. It is about communicating in an online world aspect. And that's what we wanted to go into a little bit more of too. So if you grab any of those, there's also free images you can use from the Rotary site. District 5360, we are looking at, like, we're bringing up our social media pages. Like, we're posting as much as we can. We're highlighting certain clubs. Use it. It's out there. Take it and use it, especially if it hits your ideal target market that we communicated or we chatted about a little bit earlier. On the next slide, I wanted to go into is perfect, because this is where we're going to go into that deep dive on social media. How do you reach the out world? What can you do right now? If you're struggling with Facebook, I've seen some of those chats at the beginning of the meeting. And the perfect person that'll be presenting and talking about social media is my counterpart on the District 5360 Communications Committee. Hannah, I'd be an honor if you take it away and give us some tips on social media here and there.
Thanks, Rebecca. I'm always amazed every time that we present on how amazing of a presenter you are. I can tell that you were in Toastmasters because you don't have any filler words when you talk. And you will notice that I have lots of ums, ahs, and buts. So really excited. I'm very excited to be here. So I don't have a huge agenda planned for this next section. After the webinar communications that we did for the District Learning Committee, it kind of became clear that everybody just has lots of questions. So I want to open it up to more of a Q&A type thing. I did write down everybody's list of questions from the beginning, so I'll try to tackle those as well. But if you have questions as we're going, you can pop them in the chat and I'll try to get them. Or if you don't want to pop them in the chat, you don't want people to judge you, there's also that Q&A section that you can see on the bottom there, and just us presenters are able to see those, so nobody else will be able to see who posted your questions. So those are the two avenues for you there. Actually, Robert, if that's okay, I'm going to take over screen sharing from you so I can share some of these tools that we got asked about. So I am going to share my screen. So as Rebecca was talking, she was really emphasizing the Rotary brand. And one of the amazing features of being part of the broader community of Rotary is that Rotary has created so many things for us clubs that are already done, already ready, already designed, that makes it a lot easier than having to do it yourself. So I just wanted to re-emphasize this Rotary Brand Center. You can just type into Google Rotary Brand Center. It is the first one that shows up. And it gives you access to brand guidelines, logos, materials. You can create anything you need to create through here. And it's really a great resource. So I highly recommend that you take some time to check that out on your own and just go through that way. So I just wanted to re-emphasize that. So one of the things that I saw as I was going through those questions was the different ways to target audiences and the different social platforms that you can use to target different audiences. So I've created this tip sheet, and what I'm going to do is they can distribute it in a follow-up email afterwards. Robert, I think you'll be distributing resources and all that sort of stuff, so they'll send this out to you guys. But what I did was go through the top 4 social media platforms. There is way more than 4. but as everybody in Rotary is a little bit close and condensed on time, then usually it's best to kind of pick and focus on one or two. So I just wanted to go through these as this is a big question. So Facebook is the most common social media platform. It has the most amount of users. It's also used by the broadest amount of age groups. So if you're looking for a platform to get started on, Facebook is a great platform for that, just because it's very broad reaching. It also is the most preferred platform for people ages 50 to 65, which is a lot of Rotary's member base, because you can pull that early retiree, maybe the snowbirds, that kind of target audience age group. And that's where they're the most engaged. So it's really good for that. I have a few posting tips here. You can read these on your own time. And there's different ways to engage on Facebook. So obviously you can create a post, which is what you would see in your Facebook feed when you're scrolling through. That's a Facebook post. You can create a story, which is something that comes up for 24 hours and then disappears. So that's meant for more in the moment type things. You can create a Facebook Live, which is essentially a video that people can tune into. And then you can create an event on your Facebook page or a Facebook group. So there's lots of different ways to engage. The next biggest platform is Instagram. So if you're looking to target the millennial age group, which is the 18 to 35 kind of age group, Instagram is the platform to be. It is a little bit different than the other social media platforms because it's incredibly photo based. So one of the keys to Instagram is having really good visual content and being able to communicate your story visually. There's not a lot of, it's not very text heavy, and it's not meant to be text heavy. So actually the Rotaract District 5360 Rotaract Instagram is really good. You can kind of see what they put out there if you want some examples. There's similar ways to post as Facebook. You can do a post in the feed, you can post a story, you can do a live, or you can do an IGTV video, which is basically just a longer video that you can put out if you would like. The next platform is LinkedIn. So LinkedIn is the platform for business professionals. So it's created and managed by Microsoft, if that gives you any sort of a gauge of what type of platform it is. Everything on LinkedIn is very formal. It's a networking platform, but it's a great way to make contacts with like-minded individuals. So it's a really good platform if you're trying to reach that working age, very community involved millennial, which is that 25 to 35 kind of age group. Basically, your main way to share content on that is to post or to post an article. It's as simple as that. If you can, try to get as many members of your club as possible on LinkedIn to do some networking, make some introductions, invite other people to join their club through LinkedIn. It's a very networking heavy platform. That's kind of the point of the platform. So if you can get as many of your club members involved as possible, if you decide that LinkedIn is the right strategy for your target that you're trying to target for your club, then that's what I would recommend for that. The last one is Twitter. So Twitter is its own beast, as I like to say. It is meant to be short and sweet and witty and funny and have the kind of small pieces which engage frequently. So Twitter is one of those platforms that you need to post on a lot. Even if it's not as polished, that's okay. And it's a great way to kind of reach that more educated, a little bit of a wealthier audience. So it all boils down to social media. What groups are you targeting? That's the first question you could ask. Rebecca talked about that at the beginning. Knowing your target audience is the first thing. The second thing is, what are you trying to communicate? So once you know your target audience, how is the best way to communicate to that target audience? So is that through stories? Is that through networking online? Is that through in-person events and figuring out how to get people to those in-person events? That would be the next piece. And with social media, it doesn't need to be overwhelming. There's no reason that your club needs to, should have every social media platform. In fact, I wouldn't recommend it. Social media is best when it's managed well and it's posted frequently. So if you're going to do anything, pick one, start there, and move on from that piece. So from this, as we're just finishing up talking about my little spiel before I start answering your questions, I like to recommend this 70-20-10 rule to break up content. So 70% of your content should be content that you create. So that's sharing your Rotary stories, that's talking about events you're putting on. 20% is content that other people create. So that could be hyping up other Rotary clubs that you see. It could be sharing a story that somebody from a club member put out, or sharing a news article about your club. And 10% should be promotion. So those are those hard promotion posts that are join our club, we're looking for members, we're looking for committees, we're putting out an event. That should only be 10% of your social media. So the key thing to remember is social media is about the people and not the platform. So social media should be about engaging with the people on the platform. And generally, if you, as Rebecca was saying, are sharing your story, you're not going to just walk up and be like, oh, we need club members, you're going to join our club. That's a pretty bit of a hard sell. So an easier sell, and what people enjoy and want to listen to, is a story. So make sure that that's what you're using social media for, to share your Rotary stories. What are you doing as a club? And it doesn't need to be big. Maybe it's that you guys got together for coffee and had a great time drinking coffee and talking about the community. Okay, that's a Rotary story. People want connections. That's a great thing to share on social media. It doesn't need to be fancy or put together. It's just about sharing what your club is doing and how it relates back to the community. So that's this piece. That answers the question about, I have my notes here, the question about target populations. Another question I got a few questions about optimizing Facebook and syncing Facebook and Instagram. So I figured the best way to do that was to actually show you with our Facebook pages. So this is our Rotary District Facebook page. Everything that you do from this Facebook page will be managed through Business Suite, which is this, when you click on the page, if you're an admin on the page, you have to be an admin or have admin editor access to the page. You can't just be a regular old person. You go to Business Suite, and Business Suite is where you manage basically all aspects of your Facebook page. So from here, you can see insights. So you can see how many people liked your page, your reach, and all these fancy analytics that I won't get into. You can see activity. So you can see people that comment and like and share. So you can see that all here. But the other piece is that you can connect your Facebook and Instagram. So you can see that our Facebook and Instagram are connected right now. So normally there would be if they weren't, there would just be a little thing up here saying your Facebook and Instagram aren't connected. Would you like to connect them? And then you just follow the steps. It's actually that easy. Another amazing feature of Business Suite is you can schedule things, which I highly recommend. So it's quite simple. You just hit this little button to hit create posts, and you go through the steps of creating the post. You can see here, I can create a Facebook post and an Instagram post at the same time. I can customize them for each, and then you can schedule it. So this is a great thing to know if you are short for time, or you have a small committee, small group of people, maybe it's just one person. You can schedule your social media posts for a month. You can pick a day, spend 4 hours, schedule your posts, and you can have all of them just go out in their own little time, in their own little world. And it is wonderful, and it saves a lot of time. So Business Suite is great. Would highly recommend, if you're using Facebook or Instagram, to use Business Suite. It will save you a lot of time. So that's that. How to use Canva. That's the next question I have on here. So I also have Canva open. This is Canva. It is a absolutely wonderful platform. I very highly recommend it. It's incredibly user-friendly, incredibly easy to manage if you've never done any sort of design or anything beforehand. And the pro version is free for nonprofits. So I'm going to go through, we have Canva Pro for the district. So I am going to go through here and show you that show feature. So let's say I wanted to create a Facebook post. Well, it's very simple. You hit the design, you type in Facebook post, and there you go. It's right there. You click on it. Wonderful. Now, this is my favorite feature of Canva. It gives you a whole bunch of templates you can choose from. So rather than having to design yourself, which if you don't know what you're doing can be really hard, or you can pick one. There you go. You can replace this with other images if you would like. You can change the fonts by clicking in and changing the fonts. You can do whatever you need, and it's already pre-created content for you that you can plug in and answer and fill in and get ready to go. Another great feature is you can resize it. So different platforms have different sizes of content. Canva has them all pre-programmed in there for you, which is really nice. So you can just hit the resize button, and I want to resize this to an Instagram post, let's say. So I can type in Instagram post, and I can click it, and it will resize it for me. So it's already there. And all I have to do is just one quick edit, done. Super simple. So Canva is a great tool. I highly recommend if you're a club, there's a free version, you can use that, or you can use the pro version, which gives you access to this lovely brand kit. So you can upload all of your fonts. You can upload the Rotary fonts. You can plug in the Rotary colors. You can upload your Rotary's logos, lots of stuff like that. It's very cool. There's lots of free training on YouTube if you're interested more in Canva and how to use it. And if you have any more questions about that, of course, you can always email us as well. The next question I have is sharing stories on LinkedIn. So LinkedIn is a wonderful platform. I'm actually going to pull up LinkedIn so that you guys can see as we're going through. So you have to have a personal LinkedIn to have and manage a LinkedIn business page. So this would be an example of a business page. And it's actually quite simple. So there's two types of content. You can write an article, which is as simple as you hit the write an article button, you would plug it in just like a blog post and you share it. The second way is to just create a post, and it's as simple as typing in your information. If you want to add a picture or a photo, which I recommend, always use media in any of your posts. Never post a post with just text. Always include a picture or a video or something visual, ideally video, but can't do that, at least a picture. You'll get a lot more engagement, more eye-catching. People will scroll past it if it's just a text. That answers that question. Now, I think I got all the ones at the beginning, but I can't see any of the questions you guys have typed in the chat. I am going to stop sharing my screen.
There's a couple questions, Hannah, for you. So one was here, sorry, it just scrolled away from me. What's the average age demographic for Instagram and Twitter?
Average age demographic for Instagram, I think the average user is like 25 when they even it out. It is definitely the preferred platform for the, well, close to the preferred platform for the Gen Z and young millennials, so my age group. It's not the biggest platform, but it is the platform that everybody has and uses. It just may not be the platform that they prefer. So the biggest platform for that age group would be TikTok, which is a whole beast on its own. And if anybody wants to create a TikTok account, I would love to have a conversation about it. But it is a whole new platform. And the other one would be Snapchat, which again is kind of hard to run as an organization. So that's why I recommend Instagram.
And for Twitter?
Twitter's biggest age group is educated people. And I will say that it is legitimately their biggest age group. If you have gone to university at any age, that is who's on Twitter. So they have a very broad user base, kind of from that 20 to 60 range on Twitter. And it is almost entirely people that have gone to university or college. And that's kind of what's on Twitter. You can have a lot of success on Twitter as an organization, or you can have no success on Twitter as an organization. And it very much depends on if your target audience is on Twitter. So if you're planning to engage with that highly educated, passionate about politics, usually, you can do well on Twitter. That's just the target. If that's not your target, do not invest your time in Twitter, because it is a lot of work otherwise, and you won't see a lot of return on investment. Yeah.
There's a question about LinkedIn. How long should articles be, short or long?
I would say LinkedIn articles, you probably want to aim for about 500 to 800 words. So when you go to post it, it should give you a reading length. You don't want anything that's going to take longer than 5 minutes to read, because people won't read it.
There's a question also related to LinkedIn. Could LinkedIn be used? Sorry, we might need Ria to help explain this question, but the question is could LinkedIn be used using a Rotarians classification? So I'm not sure what she means by that. So a classification, obviously, when you join Rotary, you're registered versus what your profession was. So, and of course, LinkedIn definitely is more for professionals. So I think that's the thesis of
Yes. So I actually have Rotary in my LinkedIn profile. So I have I think this is what you're asking. I have my committee position in my LinkedIn, like my personal LinkedIn profile, as that I am a Rotarian. You can add volunteer experience on LinkedIn. So you can include Rotary in your LinkedIn profile. And I highly recommend if you have LinkedIn to do that, because I think people would be surprised of how many Rotarians actually are on LinkedIn and how many Rotarians there are, past or present. And it's a great way to make connections. The amount of times that I've gotten messages from people being like, oh, I didn't know you were in Rotary, blah, 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 blah. And it is a great introduction. It also is a great way so that people know if they have questions, Rotary's in your bio, so they know they can reach out to you. So I really would recommend you putting it in your personal LinkedIn profile. And if you have a company one, you can obviously add employees as a company one as well.
So Ria, I don't know if that answered your question. So if not, just put it in the chat and I can rephrase it for you. There is a question about, or just a comment. Can you please talk about the importance of clubs having a marketing plan?
Oh, yes, that is a great question. So one of the things that we have been working on at the district level is creating a communications plan for the district. But planning is very important. And I will say this, planning provides continuity. So I don't know about you guys, but in my club, we switch positions every year. So your person who runs communications one year may be different another year, and your president will be a different president next year. And there's a lot of moving parts all over everywhere. So having a marketing plan provides continuity, which is great. Can't see my finger. Provides continuity. And that is very important, because what you don't want is to put all of this effort into your marketing and communications and then have it fall off the radar when the next person comes in because they don't know what they're doing. So that's the first piece. The second piece is, I know we had a lot of questions in here about how to pull back new members, get new members, engage members. Having a marketing communications plan helps you target members. So that basically solidifies and writes down what you're actually looking to accomplish for your club, which is really important. It also can help you break down, if you have an advertising budget for your club, you should be spending that money. So trying to figure out where is the best place to spend that money. And a marketing communications plan doesn't need to be long. It can be 2 pages. Who is your target audience? Where are you going to reach them? What are your goals for the year? It really does not have to be super long, but having that solidified will be huge to your club because you have something to compare it to year over year, and you have an evaluation method of, did this work? No, we probably need to do something different. Did we increase club engagement? No, we probably need to do something different. Did we attract new members? Yes. Okay, maybe what we're doing is correct. And if you don't have that written down, you don't have a strategy, you're just floundering in the dark, hoping that maybe what you're doing might kind of work, maybe. So it's huge. Rebecca, do you have anything to add to that?
I was going to say you covered it perfectly. I did type into chat like a little, like even something as simple as maybe even every time like celebrating the members. Like I know we mentioned it like at downtown Calgary Club, we celebrate birthdays. Maybe even sending like a simple happy birthday card. Maybe even a phone call. Phone calls are free. Well, I know we do pay for like the data and everything in the plan, but they're definitely a simple phone call. It can go a long way. Just see, how are you doing? How's everything going? You can start off with non-Rotary activities, and that's always a great way just to rebuild that rapport with someone. That, like, including that in your marketing plan or marketing strategy. Because yeah, as Hannah also mentioned, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. I know there's that famous quote, but I mean, it's very true.
Yep.
What's going to happen?
There's a comment in the chat from just talking about how LinkedIn is a great place for prospecting for new members as well, which is true, but you should have a relationship with that person naturally. But it's also a great place for sourcing speakers for your club as well.
Absolutely. Yeah, LinkedIn is a wonderful platform, even if you don't use it for your club itself, as a tool for your club in terms of sourcing new members or speakers or different pieces of the community, seeing what's going on. LinkedIn is still a good platform just for individuals to have. And it doesn't require a lot of time. You can check it like once every 2 weeks. So it's just a good one to have. Yeah.
So we have about 7 minutes. So there's a couple more questions that we haven't got to. One is, how do I reach non-Rotarians with, for example, a fundraising raffle?
Yeah, that is a really great question. Rotarians do a lot of events. So that's a big piece. How do you market an event? So if you have Facebook, create a Facebook event. That's the first piece. With Facebook event, you can invite people. So that means that anybody who is an admin on your page can invite people from their Facebook list. So they will automatically get a invite from you that they either have to deny and feel bad about it or think about or say that they're going. So that's the first thing that I would recommend. The second piece that we talked about is knowing the media and your organization and having relationships with them. So let's say you're from a small community, you just have a newspaper. That's a lot of communities out there. Figure out who the contact is at that newspaper. Figure out, does it cost money to advertise in there? Can you have some sort of contra agreement with them where can you create a Rotary section in the newspaper where you have a little corner of the newspaper where you talk about upcoming events that are going on? That's a big piece for community members. Don't forget about traditional media too. So advertising on radio is a great way to advertise as well. Rebecca, you look like you are ready to share too.
I was gonna say that's like I love it, and I would consider my piece of advice if you want to reach someone that's non-Rotarian for anything, whether it's a raffle or anything, what incentive can you offer them? An incentive, maybe something as like an idea. If you purchase so many tickets, you'll get entered into this draw, or just try to be in the creative juices, or maybe even doing like a fun video. I'm not sure if everyone's seen the Ride for Polio or the polio video that the district did with Kurt, but that is cool. Like there's incentives all over in that video of what you can do to contribute. Like doing something like that, getting them engaged, getting them to have a little bit of fun. And that'll also increase your fundraising, and it'll also spread the word.
Yeah, absolutely.
You may have answered this question earlier when talking about the platforms, but I just want to make sure it was answered correctly. So would like to know the most common platforms for communicating to youth. So I think you said Instagram is 25 and up. So with young people below 25, is that more TikTok? Is that what I heard correctly?
Yeah, so the younger generation still uses Instagram. The biggest platform for the Gen Z, like if we're talking like below 18, TikTok would be the platform to be on.
That's a whole nother webinar. I think that's a whole other webinar, right?
Yeah, TikTok, or there's also Instagram Reels. So that is the Instagram version of TikTok. Same strategy as TikTok. That would be the biggest platform for that age group. It requires a little thought before kind of jumping into it. You can't just kind of start making TikToks, but once you have a plan, it's a super fun platform. You get to make really cool content on it, and you do have the opportunity to reach young people. It just is very different than other social media platforms. So it just requires a little bit more thought and engagement if you're going to use TikTok, is what I would say. Not to scare you, please use it if you would like. Just make sure that you research before you start.
Right, perfect. So I think that's all the questions. We got them all answered. So congratulations, good job. And I just wanted to, we are recording the webinar, so it will be posted after a bit of polishing to the district YouTube channel. So it takes a bit of time for that, but it will be available after the webinar as well. So I just wanted to hand it back. We're right a couple minutes to time. So just for some closing comments.
Great, thank you, Robert. And I wanted to appreciate everyone because I've actually seen we've increased a little bit in number, and thank you for staying throughout this entire presentation. But in closing, if you have any questions, if you need any more information, please reach out. District 5360 is here. And I guarantee you, if you are like unsure about communications, if you haven't done social media, you can even practice that there. So for example, what I'm going to say is if you want, because to create connection, here's my call out, create connection, you want it to be personal. You want to explore tools like Canva, get those pictures up there, maybe even do some Facebook lives and videos. What you can do is you can create a private Facebook group for your members, and they can go on there and practice. They can cheer each other on. The more confidence, the more practice, the skills you build up, just imagine what you can do. Put that on, and then in that private group, you can ask them, okay, let's put it public on your pages. Give it a shot, give it a test. We are here to support you. Like, send us any questions you have, and you have experienced members in your clubs. Rotarians, there's entrepreneurs in those clubs. I'm stepping onto that path right now too, because Rotarians inspired me. Pick their brains, ask them. And overall, thank you. Thank you for coming out. Hannah, do you want to say anything?
Yeah, I mean, I dropped my email in the chat. If you guys have any questions, I'm always happy to answer anything. And Rebecca, I'm sure will drop her email in there as well. Yeah, to close, you have a great network of support through Rotarians. So please do not feel like this is a journey that you need to start alone or on your own. You have people to help you. So Rotarians, I'm sure in your club somewhere have experience. If they don't, other Rotarians do, and they're more than happy to help. So don't feel like you're alone in this journey. That's one takeaway. Next takeaway, please take some time to plan and strategize before you jump into it. It will make your life a lot easier. So that's my two takeaways. Thank you so much for having Rebecca and I on to share our little tidbits of information that we could for you guys.
Well, you're definitely in the right place being on our district's communications committee. We're in great hands. You're both very knowledgeable on the topic. So thank you so much for taking time and sharing the information. Definitely, as noted, their emails are in the chat, so please jot them down. I'm sure they're willing to help. So with that, everyone, thank you very much once again on behalf of myself, Rebecca, and Hannah. Enjoy the evening, and I hope you really enjoyed and learned something from the information tonight. Thanks, everybody.